Hi. I don't know. I don't know if I'll go back to the Psalm series, but either way, I'm gonna. Uh, I don't know. I'm gonna talk about a topic that's been on my mind a bit, kind of. A lot of people think God doesn't answer prayers, but He does. But maybe not on our timeline, and not always instantly. And it really depends on the kind of prayer. Like, if you're depressed and feeling terrible about life, and you just want comfort, but you don't know who to go to and you just ask for a hug, he'll give that. And he'll give that in the moment. And not only that, but because even though you're asking for a one-time thing, he'll probably put people in your way that will care about you and look after you. But in that moment, he will give you that love, that all-consuming love. There's also other kinds of prayers, like you just have something on your mind and when you're continually giving stuff over to God, He doesn't always answer instantly, and you have to be paying attention to notice when He does answer. And so it's things like, due to a series of events, which we don't really need to go into, might at the end, but like the topic of anarchy was on my mind. And whether or not that and kind of like whether or not anarchy was a good system of governance. Like, obviously it's not, but a few things got me thinking. Because a lot of people say when you talk about anarchists, a lot of people say they're naive, and I realize that's really, really true. More true than you realize. It's not just that they don't understand. It's not that they're young and don't know much about the world. It's like people say, oh, it's young. It's like a thing. It's not actually that they have to be young. It's that they're naive. They misunderstand the concept that people will do the right thing. That people will do the right thing without laws. Because in a way, it is quite a naive concept, because it's the idea that people will still act like. A lot of anarchists will say, well, we don't care if evil people continue acting evil, yada yada yada. But the problem is they don't. They do. A true anarchist will be naive to the point they will almost trust anyone. Because for anarchy to work, you have to trust everyone. Everyone has to trust each other, and they have to want to do good onto each other. But we don't live in a world where that's true. It's weird because people go, well, the system's corrupt, so the system's done for, therefore we should overthrow the government and anarchy should reign. And that's what really gets me, because it means they're coming from an idea that the system is what is corrupt. And like one could say, well, the system is corrupt, but the system isn't corrupt because the system is inherently corrupt. The system is corrupt because of the people within it. Meaning, by getting rid of the system, the people aren't going to change. And it was interesting, and that was a thought that was on my mind. It was kind of going, anarchy kind of be seen in a good light, but I was kind of like going, no, democracy is good. There's reasons it's good. It works well. It meshes the two in a way, because one of the things people say is good about anarchy is the individual knows best what's best for the individual. Well, democracy actually respects that same thing, because democracy is very much about, in a lot of ways, it's about both the collective and the individual at the same time. You as an individual are going to vote for what you think is best for yourself, Or maybe if you're a genuine nice person, you're going to try and vote for what you think is best for the rest of everyone else. Best for everyone else as well, because you're nice and you can choose to do that, but you're going to vote how you choose to. It's a very individual choice. But by submitting your vote, and being part of democracy, you forfeit your right to complain about the outcome, regardless of whether you voted for the person. Well, like, you can, of course, complain about the outcome, but, like, you acknowledge that more people agreed with whoever won. Like, that is what happened. And democracy starts failing when that isn't true, when propaganda comes in, when people don't choose what's best for them. Because here's the thing, a lot of laws protect the rich, and that's why people say the system's done for. The rich are minority, meaning something's gone wrong. Because if the rich are in the minority, why do all the laws support them? Well, it's more than likely because people want to be rich, therefore they want laws that will benefit them if they ever become rich. Truth is, they probably never will. And they definitely won't if all the rules benefit the rich. Like, it's kind of weird. Like, that's the way. So you'd be better off voting for something that would actually support you and look after you. It's kind of like capitalism. It's one of the reasons some people don't. I've tried to ask my dad why he's a capitalist, and I can't understand it because he doesn't explain it well. Because what a lot of people don't understand about capitalism is, like, I'm full in support of the economy being a capitalist economy is fine. That's good. The free, like, people striving and working and trying, working what that, if you do more important work, you get paid more. If you strive harder, like, I understand that. Like, you get rewarded for what you put in. But on the flip side, there's also the problem of, I don't understand why Dad would go, well, the minimum, why Dad doesn't understand the minimum wage isn't high enough. Because in my mind, if you're working 40 hours a week, being paid minimum wage, then you should be able to live off that. I don't think you can currently, unless it's, of course, like, you're a teenager and stuff, and it's like, and once you get, and I think it's like minimum wage is like 20 once you hit $20 an hour. It's not, actually, no, I don't even think it's $20 an hour once you hit 21. Like, it keeps rising up until it hits that point. And it's like, at that point, you're more, that's the point when most people have moved out of home. So it's like, you should be able to support one person off the minimum wage. Just as you should be able to support, actually, no, that's a lie. You should be able to support, you should be able to more than support one person off the minimum wage, because you should be able to just support one person off welfare. You should only just be able to support yourself off welfare, and I agree with that. Problem is, that isn't true either. Welfare is severely underpaid, and people struggle a lot under it. It's statistically, it's not enough, and that's not good. And if the minimum wage, and that's not good either. Like, I don't know, why am I going on to this? Like, I was talking about, I've gone on a complete utter tangent. But either way, democracy wins when everyone's educated and understands what they're voting for and agree. And democracy wins when it benefits the majority of people. The reason the democracies are failing currently, and the reason people are rebelling against them, is because currently democracies don't actually support the majority. They actually, in a lot of ways, support a minority. And that, it sounds weird to say, but That's what's happening. The far right, the far left, they're the ones in control. The majority of people are in the middle. And they're stuck choosing between two factions which are ever more divorced from what they want. And isn't that bizarre? And it's especially clear in America. You want someone in the middle. Currently, there is no one in the middle. Anyway, that was a topic, like government systems and stuff was a topic that was on my mind, and I wasn't necessarily exactly praying it, but I was thinking about it a lot, and I was handing my thoughts over to God. And sometimes instant prayer requests is like, a lot of the time, you know what? I just whinge to God, complain about a lot of things to God. It gets it off your mind. It frees you. It lifts the weight off. But either way, the other day I was talking with one of my Christian friends, and they actually suggested reading this passage. And it was kind of cool because it was like, I hadn't mentioned what I was thinking about, and I read this and I'm like, oh, this is actually on, like, I've been thinking about the topic of authority for a while now. I was kind of like, this is an answer to my prayer, because now I actually know what the Bible says on authority, because I didn't know what it said, and I didn't even realize it said anything. And this is from Romans 13. And I'm just going to read from the English Standard Version. That's my Bible, and I'm just going to read this out. And it was interesting, and it helped. Submission to the authorities. Let every person be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God. Those that exist have been instituted by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authorities resists what God has appointed. Those who resist will incur judgment, for the rulers are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad. Would you have no fear for the one who is in authority? Then do what is good, and you will receive his approval, for he is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for he does not bear the sword in vain, for he is a servant of God, an avenger who carries out God's wrath on the wrongdoer. Therefore one must be in subjection, not only to avoid God's wrath, but also for the sake of consciousness. For because of this you also pay taxes, for authorities are ministers of God, attending to this very thing. Pay to all what is owed to them. Taxes to whom taxes are owed, revenue to whom revenue is owed, respect to whom respect is owed, honor to whom honor is owed. Fulfilling the law through love. Owe no one anything except to love each other, for one who loves another has fulfilled the law. For the commandments, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, you shall not covet, any other commandment, are summed up in this word: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. Love does no wrong to a neighbor, therefore love is fulfilling the law. Besides this, you know the time, that the hour has come for you to wake from sleep. For salvation is nearer to us now than when we first believed. The night is far gone, the day is at hand. So then, let us cast off the works of the darkness and put on the armor of light. Let us walk properly as in daytime, not in the orgies and drunkenness, not in sexual immorality and in sensuality, not in quarreling and jealousy, but put on the Lord Jesus Christ and make no preservation of flesh to gratify its desires. And it's interesting because it says submit yourself to authorities, obey the law. But it also says love. And the truth is the system isn't done for, and the system isn't corrupt, because there's ways within most systems, and even if they aren't clear at first, but if you read the law and you follow the law, there are ways within the system to fix the law, to make sure you're fulfilling, and that you will always get away with the law by fulfilling the law through love. through peace, through kindness. Because even in Russia, it claims to be a democracy, but it's not. It's not really a democracy. But when you realize that, it's like, well, I'm not sure what the Russian laws are exactly, but I'm sure if you actually went to the Russian laws, you very quickly realize what's going on there, especially with Putin being in charge in what is effectively a dictatorship. It's not really a democracy. And therefore, he is not. Therefore, in some sense, he is not following the authority of the law. In many ways, it's kind of interesting. Like the system, a lot of people complain about a lot of things, and if they're young, I understand it. But some old people complain about things, and I don't understand it because there is a better way, and the law holds that better way. The problem is young people have lost faith that the system will actually operate and work by the letter of the law, because I'm not sure, in some countries maybe this might not be true, but in a lot of countries, and in most countries, and in the West definitely, and in most English speaking countries at very least, the letter of the law will allow you to do love unto others, will allow you to act in kindness and love and in justice. And if you can't act that way, the higher the chances are it's not the law that's the problem. It's the people who are enforcing the law. I don't know. That's just something to think about.